Segment 3, Gold and Black Live, and we are joined by Chris Pate. And if you're a Purdue fan of any kind, you know this guy. He's gotten a little well-earned publicity over the years for collecting, and his collection is phenomenal. His from a little bit south. No, are you north of Bedford or something? We're not going to give you your exact location, but you're or south of Bloomington, right? I mean, and I've been to your wonderful place, but first, welcome, and second, that is your location, right?
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Always a treat to be here and talk Purdue sports with you. And yeah, I'm south of Bloomington. That's on purpose. I'm in Monroe County, all that good stuff. So I got maintain my distance there.
Oh, there you go. And you use that wonderful engineering degree to take care of yourself and your family, and that's a credit to Purdue and yourself that you were able to have been able to do it all these years. I have to go back, because you've told this story many times, but I think it's important for people that don't know a lot about you, just how you got into the collecting business. You know, people know of yourself in Orlando Iton, certainly in West Lafayette, but talk about this, how you got this. Is this something that you did as a kid, and maybe the genesis of all of this?
Sure. It started out as a kid with baseball cards, just like just about anyone in the 1980s.
Yeah.
That craze. I think that kind of carried over when I always a sports fan, obviously played lots of sports growing up. And then when I got to Purdue, I was lucky enough to work in the equipment room, be around all the teams, which included guys like Drew Brees, ladies like Stephanie White, Curry Figgs, Brian Cardinal. I was around people who played the game at the highest levels, at least my favorite levels there at Purdue, and being around them just kind of gave me access to a few things, and then more or less in the right place at the right time. From there on, when I graduated, right around the 2000 time frame, eBay was a lot smaller than it is.
Yeah,
a lot easier to find stuff. A lot more things were out there, and then I bought a few collectors out that collected Purdue things for many years. Just kind of totally not all luck, but a lot of luck certainly. And like you said, put a lot of time and effort into it.
Oh.
But it's a joy. Couldn't think of a more fun hobby.
Well, you had to know the thing that's interesting about you is knowing the history, learning the history. I mean, obviously you went to school at Purdue and grew up a fan and all of that, but understanding the nuance of, and having been to your place, it's been over a decade, I think, since I've been there, but just that whole notion of knowing, all right, so what's the value at the Rose Bowl, for example, and how did you get to that level? And it takes work to do it skillfully and carefully, but what about that whole, that fandom that turns into a collection, being able to collect skillfully?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where sometimes you have to try to set emotion aside when you're at an auction, because it's easy for things to get out of hand. And you just learn over time what things are worth. But more importantly than that is, I like to think that I'm a purveyor of Purdue sports history.
Yeah.
The fact that, as we discussed previously, Purdue does not have a museum, a Hall of Champions, or any type of an exhibit on campus. It's one of my goals, one of Orlando's goals. We talked about that. He and I did just a couple days ago about how we're got to make that happen, because we've got so much stuff that we've been lucky enough to accumulate that we want to get up there and put it out where everyone can see it.
Yeah, it's I'll be included in your fight if in any way that I can help, because I'm with you on that. I think those exhibits, that's how you have tradition, and Purdue does have tradition, certainly, but on display makes it even more pertinent and relevant, really. And I think that's a big part of it. And as I know that's been your mission, and over a long period of time, and an important thing to be able to do that. When you look at some of the things you have in your collection, and the things that you thought you'd never get, but you do have, and what are you looking to still find? I mean, there's still things out there that you could always, I'm sure, that haven't been brought to the fore for you, that you'd like to be able to acquire, or wonder whether it's really out there, those types of things. Where are you in that?
Yeah, as far as things I never thought I'd have, I've got Stephanie White's jersey from the national championship game. It's something pretty cool. I've got the game ball from the 1967 Rose Bowl,
Yeah.
painted up. It's very beautiful. I've got a couple of Drew Brees jerseys. So I kind of encompass all sports, all the major sports. And it's funny what else is out there, because you just never know. You think that things are drying up. You go through a quiet spell, and then bam, a couple of things just pop out. You're like, oh wow, never thought that I would get one of those. And speaking of that quest, and I mentioned this before, when I first started collecting, I thought it'd be really cool to have a program from every old Oak and Bucket game. And it's ironic that we're coming up on the 100th anniversary of the first Old Oak and Bucket game, 1925. So here this November will be the 100th anniversary. And I said, hey, I want to get a program from every Old Oak and Bucket game. So for years, I was on that quest. And I'm proud to say that I've got one from every game now. And I thought, well, okay, now that I've got programs, I need to get a ticket from every game. And been on that search and on the dog trail there, down to 2 tickets that I need, and they're the very first 2, 1925 and 1926. So I'm still looking for those. In fact, I had a buddy that's a fellow collector that contacted me a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I think I found a white elephant for you. And he sent me a picture, and he's got a 26 ticket. So I'm like, okay, what's that going to cost me? What we got to do? And he said, I just got it. I'm going to have to think about it. So I think he's going to make me wait and chill my nails and all that good stuff. See what he's going to maybe want to trade me for or what. But hopefully he'll deal that one to me, and then I'll be on the hunt for that 1925.
If I remember right, the 25 game was a 0-0 tie. It was played in Bloomington. I should know this. And 26 was played back at Purdue, because 24 game was, of course, the first game in Ross-Ade Stadium, right? So
Correct.
I think I got my facts and figures correct on that. But that's that's interesting. And yeah, it's a game of give and take, and there's some strategery in all this. And I know that you play that game well. I know and I'm drawing a blank on the Big Ten Network show that they've had. I don't know if they're still running it. And you were part of that when they came to Purdue.
In Treasure.
What's that? Treasure Hunt, and Big Ten Treasure Hunt. And what was that like? And what did you think when you saw some of the other collectors from around the league? Because it was interesting to see what was there and what was out there. Some of the ones that wowed you, and some of the ones that maybe where do you think you stack up in that world?
Right. Yep. Must see TV when it comes to me. Something like that. It's kind of like when the Big Ten Network covered Purdue football training camp.
Yeah.
About 7 or 8 years ago. I had to couldn't wait every episode to come out. So that was a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect when I was first on the show, but I met with the host of the show, John Arcand, and I was impressed with his knowledge. He knew his stuff. He knew what things were valuable, what things were rare. He knew a lot of the history, and that gave me a lot of comfort in dealing with him. And one of the good things that resulted from that show was it kind of formed a network of some of us super collectors, I guess, for lack of a better term, and was able to form some relationships with some of the guys on there that have. So I know, this guy's got a huge Michigan collection. This guy's got a huge, you name it. And so we've been able to help each other out from that perspective. Created it's almost like a fraternity of sorts there. And I'm glad to see that has continued to flourish to this day, since the show does not air any longer.
Yeah, what's the common thread among your brethren around the league? I mean, besides being half sane, I'll say. You got to have a little bit of that. But what do you see? I mean, and I think I watched most of those shows around the league, and they are all interesting. But what's the common thread among your brethren, do you think?
Yeah, in addition to being, like you said, half sane and certainly maybe tilting a little bit more towards a little bit on the crazy side there, the one common trait that I think most of us collectors have is OCD.
Yeah.
And just think there's something about we like things in order. We like to give order to an unorderly world. Having that run of programs is just to be able to stack those up and line them up is something that it gives us those endorphins, gives you that pleasure, and it almost kind of makes you want more. Keeps the thirst going to stay on the hunt.
Well, and you have to have an understanding wife.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that a check on that? Yeah. I mean, because having been at your house, you have a lovely home, and yet you have a lot dedicated. It takes space to do this. I mean, it takes a lot of space to do this.
It takes
and as your family's grown older too, that's part of it as well.
Sure. Yeah, I've got a son who's 12 now, and
Yeah.
obviously, he's a Boilermaker at heart, and down here in this in the red and white territory. So as he gets through middle school and high school, we'll see how he's able to handle that. But that's good for him. I say it builds character. So, but like you said, understanding wife to put the time that I put into all this, as well as the financial side of it.
Yeah.
It's certainly a commitment, but I think they can tell the joy that it brings me. They can see the good that it does Purdue, and that's really started to flourish over the last 3, 4, or 5 years now. And seeing some of that return on all this investment is really satisfying to my Boilermaker soul.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that's a fair way to look at it. Now. We all, I think it's fair to say that a lot of Purdue fans are extremely are cautiously excited about what we're seeing in football. Certainly after the USC game, it wasn't a win, but it was competitive. And we'll see how things go against Notre Dame this week. But for men's basketball, you've got a team that's the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. And you and I have been around Purdue a long time. And it doesn't seem like Purdue's bristling at that, which I think is a good thing in a lot of ways. But what would that mean, and how much you always think about collections in the football world, but there's a lot of basketball. Obviously, John Wooden's jersey that's now in Mackey Arena is a showcase, but a national championship or something, maybe not something close, something right there is a national championship. No pressure, Matt Painter. That is would maybe put things at a whole new level with it from a collection standpoint.
100% out. And, it's funny that you mentioned that, because another thing that Orlando and I talked about a couple of days ago, he said, if Greasy or Leroy Keys or Mike Phipps had won the Heisman, said we probably have our museum now. So I said, hey, maybe this is it for this year. If the basketball team can bring home a banner, maybe that's the impetus to get that Hall of Champions started that we dreamt about. And it does elevate the collecting world, the market, the number of fans, the amount of interest. And I think that's awesome, because no one can have it all. I certainly don't have it all. I have a lot of friends that have a lot of stuff that I'm a little bit jealous of. It's not like I'm the end all be all, and there's plenty to go around. So the more the merrier. Let's do something special here in late March and early April, and get that fire going full blaze.
Yeah, there's I'm sure the world of Zach Eady collectible stuff already. Braden Smith. And of course, and I know you go back to Rick Mount and some of the great things there that are. Maybe talk a little bit about your basketball collection, because it is interesting. I've seen some of the uniforms you've had, et cetera. But what you have is pretty interesting, to say the least.
Sure. Yeah, I'm fortunate to call Rick Mount a friend. I've gotten to know him over the last 10 or so years, and it's such a treat to be around someone like that. And the guy remembers everything, every play, every game. And I just sit there and just like, hey, you just talk, and I'm just going to listen to the stories. Yeah. Try to absorb them and preserve them. But as far as Rick Mount goes, I've got his jersey from his playing days at Purdue. I've got his Big Ten championship ring, NCAA finalist ring, Final Four ring from '69. His watch as well from the '69 Final Four. The Big Ten MVP trophies, the Chicago Tribune silver basketball. He won 2 of those back-to-back years, 69 and 70.
Right.
Got those displayed proudly over in my bar area. In addition to some of the Rick Mount items, got several Glenn Robinson things. I got about 3 Glenn Robinson game worn jerseys. I've got Glenn Robinson silver basketball for Big Ten MVP. And then to go back to older items, I've got from the 1932 national championship season. I've got a couple programs. I've got a ticket from the IU Purdue game from 1932, signed by Johnny Wooden on the back, as he was known at the time. And then, just game balls, painted up game balls going back as early as
Yeah.
the 1920s. IU Purdue basketball game balls that are painted up and mounted on walnut plaques. I've got some other All-American balls from Rick Mount and things like that when he became Purdue's all-time leading scorer. I remember seeing Zach Edey get a ball when he eclipsed Rick a couple of years ago, and it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I got Rick's ball. I don't know that I'll ever get Zach's, but it's cool to know that it's out there.
I'm going to guess you got a fighting chance now, but you'll work at it. Yes, Rick is not over that one yet. He's still, as much as he's supportive of Zach Edey and the great career, he always reminds folks, I did it in 3 years, and that's Rick. If you know Rick, that's Rick. That's Rick to a T. But it was great that Rick was at the UCLA game last year, and that was a big deal for his second appearance in the last 10 years. Big deal, and hopefully he'll come back for other ones. Okay, Purdue Notre Dame tomorrow. It's a special game for Purdue fans always. It's been a while. Certainly it'll be 21 years since the Boilermakers last won their 2004 in the Taylor Sutherland 97-yard reception, where he was able to do the boiler up or whatever he was doing for the last 50 yards. Still was a pretty cool thing. And, of course, 1974, the time before that, when Purdue was nearly as big, probably a bigger underdog at that game than they are on Saturday. They got out to a 24-0 lead, hung on and beat the defending national champion Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What, you're a student of watching, you obviously collect stuff, but you watch a lot of stuff. And what does that tie with Notre Dame not only mean to your collection, but mean to you on a personal level?
It's Notre Dame is always a measuring stick game for Purdue.
Yeah.
We always play them early in the year, and it's a chance for us to say, all right, what do we have this year? Because we know going up a team that's got plenty of talent. So use that as a basis for, okay, well, we've got a chance to be decent this year, and we'll know a little bit more tomorrow. It's the timing is a bit, I guess, ironic or odd, or maybe not quite in our favor with them losing by a botched extra point last week and last year when they lost a game at home that they shouldn't have. So we get them coming out of the hornet's nest again, which I guess, hey, we're getting ready to go through the gauntlet of the Big Ten, so we might as well prepare for it. And no better way than to do that against a mad Notre Dame team in Notre Dame Stadium.
Yeah, we were looking that up. The last time Notre Dame was 0-2 against Purdue, 1986, and that was, of course, the first year of Lou Holtz. They were 0-4 under Charlie Weiss when Purdue, for the last time Purdue beat Notre Dame, 2007 in Ross-Ade Stadium. Joe Tiller's second to last season. So there have been some great moments, and having an opportunity under the Golden Dome, we'll see what happens. I have a sense that this is being somewhat tongue-in-cheek that it'll be a little more competitive than it was last year. Purdue will be fighting. I think we've already seen out of Coach Barry Odom's teams, and that's a step in the right direction. So, Chris, tell folks how they can get. We've got your website at boilerup.com, but any other ways that they can get hold of you if people are interested in things that you've already sent out the APB for the game tickets for 1925 and 1926. How can they what's the best way to get a hold of you if they have some information?
Sure. In addition to boilerup.com, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. My Instagram handle is Purdue Pate. So play off of Purdue Pete there, obviously, but Purdue Pate. Post a lot of my game pictures that I take there. So always love to have more followers there. You can see some of through my lens and through my eye what I'm seeing at the games and what gets my attention. Twitter, CB Pate, Facebook, CB Pate. Love to hear from all the Boilermakers. That's one of the cool things about this is my network of Purdue fans just keeps expanding, and I can never have too many of those.
And did you spend, I think I saw you, did I see you last week? I'm not sure, but were you up there during the 3-hour delay? Were you undercover, I assume, or did you end up getting up and back up in the press box?
I was in the press box. I made the comment, said, hey, I love rain delays because instead of the hustle and bustle of the game, we had 3 hours where people are just kind of downtime, and I was rubbing elbows with everybody. I got to talk to Gary Danielson. In fact, I connected him with one of his former teammates that he hadn't talked to in 20-some years and put them on the phone together and enjoyed just sitting there watching them talk. I spent probably a good hour and a half with with Dale and Don Samuels
Yes.
sitting there in the press box and just chatting about anything and everything as we watched some of the Georgia Tennessee game on the jumbotron, floated around and talked to our sports info guys, to the guys that are doing the TV and radio, and just a little bit of everything. Saw Marcus Allen, so it was
Yeah.
it was cool. Yeah, I wish we had more rain delays, but
Yeah, it's kind of like baseball where you used to go and had to fill some time, and did have time to have numerous conversations. Dale and Dawn, Dale 94 years old. Dale and Dawn have been married for 73 years. That's an amazing story, and the oldest living member of the Cradle of Quarterbacks, and he really still living and dying Purdue football and enjoying that, and coming back to a couple of games and still shooting his age in golf, which is impressive too. So
he's my hero, one of them.
Yeah, he's one of the great guys that ever lived. He just is he couldn't be nicer, always has been, and has upheld the tradition of the Purdue quarterbacks as well. He may not have been the best one, but he was technically one of the first with him and Bob DeMoss, and some arguments about Cecil Isbell, but it's certainly it was he had that big win over Notre Dame in 1950 over the 39 game winning streak, right? That Dale led Purdue over. He's always sheepish about that because he doesn't want to take credit for it, but he did it as a sophomore, and a big deal there. So, hey, Chris, we appreciate your time. Always fun, and we'll look forward to doing this again. And we'll have this conversation maybe after that national championship, and we'll start looking at that. Hey, national championship in football. We could be the first to say that they're not out of the college football playoff race yet, so they could go ahead and win the rest of your games. You can get in. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It's always a treat. I'll come back anytime just to talk about anything and everything Purdue. Let's keep fighting this year. I do want to say one more quick
Yes,
thing.
sir. By all means.
My gosh, I've got to compliment our fans. They have packed Ross-Ade. They packed it last Saturday after a 3-hour delay, all through last year in the struggles. So, I keep telling anybody that I can, keep bringing it because it makes a difference, and we're going to start winning some games because of their help.
Yeah, they have been. The fan base has been unbelievable, and it is a tribute to. Considering where things have been over the last year plus, that's been pretty amazing. So, Chris, have a great rest of your Friday and maybe a fun game to watch tomorrow afternoon, and we'll look forward to seeing you up at Ross-Ade before long.
Look forward to it. I'll be at every game. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Thanks again. And, of course, I want to thank the good folks at WLFI for helping put this together. That, of course, being TJ Horn and Steve Clark, Chris Collar, the good folks there. And I want to thank our sponsors, Triple X on the hill, but on the level of Purdue tradition since 1929, and a place that Chris Pate knows well. And, of course, Trent is my agent, Trent Johnson, trentismyagent.com. We appreciate them. So no shows for a couple of weeks. We'll be back on October the 10th. Prior to the Minnesota game, and we'll be going full force throughout the rest of the football season. But we appreciate all of you taking the time to join us, and we will look forward to not only that, but more fun Purdue conversation on Golden Black Live.